Yo YouTube, GK's back, and you can tell by the title, we're talking God of War. What's up with the God of War sequel from 2018, basically God of War 5? Well, we're going to get into some of that right now. We're going to keep it short and definitely sweet. We're not going to go over everything as there is tons of news if you want to look around. We'll definitely get into the video, and at the end, we're going to talk about what I think is happening in the world that Kratos is in Norse mythology. First off, let's get into some of the backstory for those who don't know what God of War is. Santa Monica Studio produced it, and it won Game of the Year. It is a huge success built off the previous trilogy and many other spin-off titles. What I want to focus on here is giving way more credit to the people who wrote the game and the story. Cory Barlog is the big name associated with God of War. However, there are two other people that I want to mention because they often don't get the credit they deserve, even though they do in the writing and artistic circles. Matt Sophos and Richard Zangrade Gubart. Here's a picture of them with their wives. Beautiful. Also, the composer Bear McCree. The music for the game was often great. You can't make Game of the Year, you can't make top quality without everything coming together nicely, and the music is definitely a huge factor. Now that we kind of got some of the basics of God of War out of the way, I want to jump into what has recently dropped, Raising Kratos. Documentary on YouTube. The link is down below. Definitely go check it out if you're interested in the behind the scenes type of stuff and really getting an insight into development of games. However, this video is about where is the sequel. So we're going to talk about where the sequel is and is it going well? I think it is going well. There's a very good interview on Kotaku. Jason Schreier, you hear his name a lot in my videos as well because he edits and writes a lot of articles that are about gaming. So he interviews Cory and says, so how much of the future game plan do you have mapped out in your head? Cory said 5 games. Jason says, so that's 25 years. Is that what you're prepared for? Cory said, no, I want to figure out how to make these things faster, man. Jason said, how can anyone make these things faster? The audio goes on to say a lot of other things. However, the important thing is here, Cory in his head has planned 5 games. Obviously, that means at least 1 or 2 of these games are in production currently. Why the first one took so long is because he said he had to create a whole new story for Kratos. But that doesn't mean that there are going to be 5 games. It's really just confirming that more God of War games are in the works. And by the way, Cory has been on the God of War project basically since its inception. So he is our God of War man, no doubt about it. Where the game is currently is a better question for gaming as a whole. PlayStation 5 is coming, is on the horizon, we can see it. And dev kits for the PlayStation 5, if you don't know what a dev kit is, it's for developers to get the technology earlier and work on making games with that technology, getting familiar with it. Those dev kits have already been sent out to our big mainstay AAA franchises, titles, and studios. That's why they're making their games. That's why we don't hear about sequels for the PlayStation 4 like Horizon, like The Last of Us, even though you kind of hear about The Last of Us, and like God of War, just to name a few. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Where are our PlayStation sequels and talking about the dev kit. I got a nice little article. Definitely going to go over that. However, let's just stick to God of War now because that's what the video is about. So God of War is in the production phases. However, we had Cory mentioned about on a Twitter post. He talked about sitting down doing a 4-hour script reading. We also have this picture of like a storyboard mapped out and everything with post-it notes and little quick sketches and writing everywhere. It's just to show and further prove to everybody that the game is coming. They also released something that solidified this, and something I had already known because we're going to get into the meat of the video by explaining what I think is going on in the world. They released a graphic background for the PlayStation 4, and on the graphic on the side of the boat it says Ragnarok is coming. Now I wanted to really look at this and wanted to articulate to everybody what Ragnarok actually is. And I'm going to use Wikipedia because Wikipedia is a reliable source. I don't care what you say. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok is a series of events including a great battle foretold to the death of a number of great figures, including the gods Odin, Thor, Tyr, Fenrir, Heimdallr, and Loki, natural disasters, and the submersion of the world in water. After these events, the world will resurface anew and fertile. The surviving and returning gods will meet, and the world will be repopulated by 2 human survivors. Ragnarok is an important event in Norse mythology and has been the subject of scholarly discourse and theory in the history of Germanic studies. There's our synopsis of what Ragnarok is. I'm sure you know a version of Ragnarok yourself. Not every one of these gods dies. There's always versions that retell things differently. You even know the Marvel Ragnarok series. It's a big deal, and I want to express this the best way I can, and how God of War 4 basically is a prequel to set up these events of Ragnarok.
Yo, it's the Grown Kid Talk Show.